I think about, some of the work that we do with K-12 schools, and I think about kind of the whole field of social emotional learning and how that's sort of being encapsulated with this notion of whole child education. And I think that what I hear you saying is that we have to be thinking about not just the brains of the people in our institution, but their lives. And to a question that I actually want to ask you, Catherine, knowing that their lives don't start and stop within the walls of our institution, if there are even walls within our institution, how do we think about their lives outside of our community? But more importantly, how do we actually forge collaborations with not just the campus stakeholders that should be at the table to support our work, but also those organizations and individuals in the broader community? And how have you seen those sorts of partnerships open doors or help to advance inclusive excellence efforts?
Thank you for that question. I've been thinking about a lot of what Dr. Hill shared with us this morning, but one aspect that really resonated was the concept of building bridges. And she mentioned that in the concept of connecting K through 12 to college and the later workforce. But we have a new president at the University of Virginia who came in saying, a lot of people wanted to know, what is your vision for us, President Ryan? Where are you taking us? And he stepped back and talked about that the future for the University of Virginia is ours to shape. And he talked about what was important to him was that concept of building bridges. So often we think about university community and we're focused on faculty, staff, and students. And certainly, as we've heard about in our time together so far, that's a critical part of our community. But our brick and mortar institutions are located within a geographical area. We have a broader community. And our institutions have a lot of privilege, power, influence, and impact on those who live in the surrounding community from around our institution. The University of Virginia, for example, with both our academic division but also a hospital, is the primary employer in the Charlottesville community and area. So when we're talking about shaping our future, those community members, we need to build bridges with them as well. They're key people that are part of that conversation. One way that we've attempted to do that at the University of Virginia is our new president created a community-based committee. And he tasked that committee with very early on providing him a path forward, helping him to prioritize what valued, what mattered, not only for those that work at the university or are being educated there, but for those who may also work or be educated there, but then also live in that geographical community. And so with that, that committee was, while there were a couple of faculty and staff, it was predominantly residents of the Charlottesville community, leaders in this space. And when tasking them to do that, he put out a survey to everyone, and more than 3,000 people responded. And everyone means you could go online and you could do it. So you could have no connection to UVA at all, but live in the area, and you could give suggestions. And so this sort of ties into this basic needs that David was talking about, because the top three things, the first two, were pay a living wage and have affordable housing. Now, our president quickly has taken some steps, because people also, dialogue is great, but they want to see action. So that living wage, he's acting upon it, which is helpful, because when you engage with people, you need to do it authentically and sincerely so that there won't just be a lot of talk, there's going to be a follow-up action. And we're working on the housing part. But the other piece was accountability, and that gets back to our institutional privilege, power, and impact. When working with our community, we need to think about the history. So you need to understand the history of your college or university and what impact it had on people who have called that area home. We have a lot of history to embrace at University of Virginia. We are in the area, the birthplace of slavery. Our university was built by enslaved laborers. And we also fed and nurtured and led the pseudoscience of eugenics long after it had been debunked by others. So we need to be accountable to that. So part of that engagement with the community is talking about how we do that and owning that truth. Other ways that we've done are creating commissions, right? Again, broad-based with a lot of community participants outside of the university, a commission on slavery, a commission on the era of the university and segregation. But then to Kevin's point, where we talk about building a framework within the university, part of that framework around diversity and equity and inclusion work has to include that outside community. And how do you bring that together? Many of us are, we talk about the silos, right? These are my virtual silos that I'm sharing. of good deeds being done both within and without our institutions, but how do you bring those together? And so one is looking for that framework and building it to synthesize those efforts to maximize the benefits. One step that the University of Virginia is taking later this month is that we're sending a group of 15 people. Again, more than 50% are from the Charlottesville community who don't work at the University of Virginia. And then we're taking some faculty and staff who have already been working in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion to go to the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Institute at Villanova University that's come out of the American Association of Colleges and Universities. And we're going to take that framework around diversity and inclusion and bring that strategic thinking and visioning back to synergize and build upon efforts that are already being done. And so I think it's a constant, we use the word journey, and that resonates so powerfully with me as a metaphor that it's a constant. I saw it on the word cloud that came up. This work is a journey, it's a process. It's not a checkbox or a once and done.